Hello, and welcome to this IoT Spark live webinar. And I'm happy to welcome you. I apologize for the little delay we have. It was a technical issue with my equipment, and in the meantime, I see other people joining in, and we are already 14 people, 15 now. So my delay was useful at the end of the day, just to let more people join in. We are very happy to host this live webinar. This is the last live webinar before our event in September, and then we will be back with live webinars again in October. So I hope you enjoyed this this webinar. And today we have a very interesting topic, I would say, as usual. And we are in the industrial IoT sector, and we are talking about monitoring solutions. I would say massive monitoring solutions. We are talking about large mining sites, for example, or oil and gas plants, or even could be agriculture field, places where there is a lot of equipment, a lot of staff of workers to monitor in order to guarantee safety, to guarantee efficiency, and to say increase also the health and the productivity of the processes of the business. As usual, I'm not alone in this webinar. I have here with me two speakers. Let me introduce them. On the left-hand side, Saul Davila is project manager of WILOC Technologies. He has actually 15 and more years of experience in the industrial sector, so he's a big expert of the of this specific vertical. A lot of experience, a lot of expertise. And since 2020, he joined WILOC Technologies as IIoT solution specialist, and is leading several digitalization projects with industry leaders in the oil and gas, but not just the oil and gas industry. And on the right-hand side, my colleague Camilo Blesa, Business Development Manager at LORIOT, is especially focused in the Latin America market, but he also is key account manager for large customers in the industrial environment. So he also has a very good outlook on this market, on clients' needs, and the best way to address their needs. Without any further ado, let's start. I give the word, I pass over to Saul. Both Saul and Camilo are based in Spain, so this time it's very easy for me to pronounce correctly the names. So welcome, Saul. The stage is for you, and let's start.
Thank you, Dario, for the introduction. Let me start talking about the content of the webinar. So we are gonna first talk about WILOC, who we are and what we do. We will discuss the main challenges in oil and gas, specifically for massive deployment, as you were mentioning before, and why LoRaWAN is one of the best communication protocols for this industry and for this type of projects. Then we will go briefly about the WILOC solution. I'm afraid I don't have enough time to present the whole solution, but I will try to explain briefly what we do and how we do it. We are involved in the digital transformations of the different verticals. We are involved in the photovoltaic power plants, mining, civil works, water treatment plants, and oil and gas, which is the focus of this webinar. We have solutions and we provide solutions for health, monitoring the health of workers, mainly providing smart helmets, smart watches, wearables, and any other type of technology that allow us to get and gather some data from the health of them. We also provide safety solutions in order to have zero accidents at work, which is one of the main goals nowadays. And also in terms of security, we make sure that no one is accessing an area that he is not supposed to and he is not authorized to. Also, we provide environmental solutions to monitor the weather, to monitor the air quality, to make sure that the heat stress that the workers are working on is right and it doesn't suppose or implies any risk to them. We also have real-time location systems through the devices that I was mentioning, smart helmets, wearables, and using the location mechanisms like GPS if we need to achieve high accuracy, or Bluetooth if the accuracy is not as required or as precise as GPS. Then we can provide those mechanisms to, thanks to the location, provide different features and different functionalities to the platform. Besides workers, we also have material management. So we control and we locate any other type of equipment like spools, generators, or any other type of structure that can be interesting and provides a return of investment to the business. We have an access and presence control. By access, we mean the control of the workers in a specific points, like the entire site, for example, or specific areas. And we also have the presence control system, which is allocation and guarantee that the worker is authorized to access that area, but anytime, anywhere, not just at the entrance, but also during the complete presence at the site. We have AVL monitoring solutions for heavy equipment, utilitarian vehicles, and any other type of vehicle. We have CCTV systems. We install and deploy cameras with artificial intelligence model to detect automatically the safety violations. We can detect if the worker has the proper PPE to operate and work in that area. We can also monitor vehicle violations in terms of the worker is wearing the seat, the driver is wearing the seat belt, if he's talking by phone, by the smartphone, over speeding, etc. We have also a module for quality control and construction progress, permit to work management system. So we provide, we know where the worker is, and with this module, we know what is the activity that the worker has been assigned to. Thanks to that, we can manage the productivity of them. So we know the location, we know what type of activities, and we know the duration of those activities, and that gives us the productivity. About WILOC, we provide a turnkey solution, end-to-end solution. So we are with the client since the beginning, since the design, engineering, development, implementation, support, and maintenance. So the complete phase of the construction or the complete phase of the project. We provide IoT sensors. I think that it's important to mention here that we do not manufacture hardware, but what we do is we integrate that hardware into our platform. That's what we developed. We also provide all the processing and artificial intelligence analytics to convert the data into information and then present it in a user-friendly and easy-to-use IoT platform. How can we do that? How do we solve all the projects and how do we install and deploy the solutions? Well, we have first devices on the left side of the screen. We can see the devices. We have different types. So we can integrate personal devices like smartphones, tablets, computers in order to see and present some data and gather some data as well sometimes. We have AVL monitoring devices for vehicles, heavy equipment. We have RTLS worker devices. Here we can see some of them, like the smart helmets and wearables. This specific device, for example, has a panic button. We will see later how it behaves once a worker presses the panic button. What happened in our platform? How do we solve this issue? We also have CCTV systems with cameras, as I said before, and some environmental monitoring with weather station, gas sensor, CO2 sensors, air quality, etc. Once we have gathered the data is transmitted into the networking platform using mainly LoRaWAN in this type of industries, but sometimes it is another technology is needed and another protocol is needed. It is up to the devices and technology that we have to deploy. Then the communication protocol, we need to go with the hybrid solutions, LoRaWAN plus industrial Wi-Fi, LoRaWAN plus Bluetooth. Then the signal is transmitted to the control room by using different type of backhauls. If we have an ISP provider, then we can rely on cellular communications. Otherwise, we will deploy our own network. In the control room, we can provide the solution on premises and on cloud. We have both alternatives. And here is where all our processes, all our capabilities will be there. The front end will be there as well. And also the LoRaWAN network server, which Camilo will discuss later. It will be here in this layer. And of course, all the system needs to be integrated from third-party systems. We can get data from third-party databases, like client databases, human resources databases, etc. And also we can push data to third-party systems as well, in case we need to generate a new report or push data, raw data to any database. We support different type of connectors, MQTT, AMQP, REST API, etc. So it is kind of easy to integrate the platform with third-party systems. What is our experience in terms of massive deployments in oil and gas? Well, we have been working in different projects. One in Saudi Arabia, for example, which involves thousands, actually 20,000 workers, almost 2,000 vehicles. We have another project in Singapore, which also have a large-scale deployment in terms of workers, but we also include some cameras with artificial intelligence for automatic PPE detection and 25 buses. The buses, we are using these vehicles as a distributed access control. So what we do is, instead of having like a physical access control at the entrance, the idea is to have that access control and that access terminal in the bus. So the workers get on the bus, check in the bus. We make sure that the worker has all the trainings, certification, and permits to operate that specific date. And then the bus will go straight forward to the site without any creating any queue and avoiding any waste of time. What are the main challenges in this sector? What are the challenges that we face when we deploy a solution like this in this type of environment? Well, first, we have to achieve a good balance between real-time frequency and location accuracy. So how often are we going to send and how accurate the signal needs to be? That's going to affect the battery autonomy, and that's going to affect the network saturation, the spectrum saturation of the network as well. So we need to achieve a good balance. And also we have to adapt to the local regulations because of the privacy and some other concerns. Usually, this type of projects have a large number of workers and assets. So we have to deploy a network that supports this massive deployment. And we have to keep a balance between a trade-off between all the network parameters. Also, we need to be aware of the sensors and the type of information that we need to send per device. Of course, it is going to affect the battery autonomy as well. We need to, as I said before, we need to integrate with third-party systems, and that's a challenge, especially if we are talking about an on-premises solution. The way that we connect our platform to third-party platform needs to be considered, and we need to be aware of. Also, the type of coverage in these difficult environments. So how are we going to, where are we going to locate the gateways, and how are we going to power them up? If we are talking about confined spaces, or we are talking about any other remote area, which is typically in this type of deployments. Also, the extreme conditions, perhaps Middle East is one of the most famous one in terms of oil and gas investment. And this region, for example, is in terms of weather, it is extreme weather. So the devices that we deploy and we provide need to be like rugged devices, weatherproof devices, and user-proof devices, because the users are another concern as well. If we go with brownfield, for example, because we are talking about an operation and maintenance project, then we will need to go with intrinsically safe devices and certified devices like ATEX. If it's brownfield, perhaps it is a little bit easier, and then we can go with current devices, rugged devices, but not as strong as the brownfields. And of course, security cannot be compromised, and we need to achieve certain level of security as well, which is required for this sector. Now, why LoRaWAN is helping us to solving these challenges, and why LoRaWAN is providing a solution for these specific scenarios? Well, LoRaWAN first is a long-range protocol, so we can achieve long range, like 2 kilometers typically, or 15 kilometers if we can achieve line of sight. Specifically at the beginning of the construction, it is possible to achieve this coverage. Also, it is a low power protocol, so if we deploy sensors, they can last multiple years. It is a reliable protocol thanks to the modulation and sub-giga frequency. We can, it is a high resistance to interference, and of course it can penetrate better than any other technology like a Bluetooth or Wi-Fi. And also it provides a huge scalability. So one single gateway can handle thousands of devices. And once the network is already deployed, we can add easily more sensors to the network. Still, LoRaWAN presents many challenges while deploying this type of solutions in a massive scenario, in a massive deployment. Here, we have presented a comparative between what is a massive LoRaWAN deployment and a common LoRaWAN deployment. We need to consider that the bandwidth, we need to reduce bandwidth as much as possible because the spectrum is what it is, and we cannot send the data that we would like to. We have to squeeze everything and make sure that the payload is going to be the strict and necessary one. That is something that in common deployments, we do not need to take care of, and just we can be more flexible with that. Downlink, it happens the same. It consumes a spectrum, the range exactly the same. The longer range we use, the more time on air we are going to consume, and that's going to affect the reliability of the network. And energy consumption, latency, and of course security, they are going to be affected as well. Now that we know all the challenges that we face, we have mentioned already the type of devices that we have and that we can implement. We have mentioned as well how we transmit the data from one place to the other one, how WILOC is solving this issue, and how WILOC is presenting the information that is useful for the end clients. Here we have our platform. As I said before, I wish I had time to present the whole features and all the capabilities of the platform, but I'm afraid I only have a few minutes left. So I'm going to try to go just with this view, the dashboard, which is divided into different widgets. We have first statistical information about the monitor assets. We have in this project particularly, we have workers. We have the subdivision of workers, which is here in these groups. Right now, those groups are the subdivision of subcontractor, which is the worker employer, but we can filter them and show them by job title, by certificates, or any other attribute that is interesting for the business. We can also select if it's historical period or is a real-time period, like last hour, last week, or today, etc. We have here another widget, which is the presence control, which is to see the activity of today. If we go to details, we can see the historical, of course, but the dashboard only presents the today, because the idea is to have the deviation between the real head counting and the predictive head counting. Here, we can get data from the project plan in order to see the manpower curve, if it's what it's supposed to be, or we are having a deviation in the real-time activity with the activity that it's supposed to happen this specific day. We have another widget, which is for the environmental monitoring. Here we have a weather station, for example. We have the heat stress of all the workers at the site, wind speed, which is important for some operators and some heavy equipment. We have rain rate, which in specific regions, for example, in Singapore, it is critical for the productivity of the site, etc. And the important thing here is that we have integrated, well, one of the important things here is that we have integrated this an additional sensor. So as I said before, we have this platform, we tailor-made this platform for the client. So our client already had a sensor, a lightning storm sensor, already at the site. So what we did was develop a connector for that specific sensor, and we integrate it into the platform. So now, anytime that a lightning storm is happening at the site, we turn this widget into red, and then we trigger an alarm for the operators to manage and making sure that everyone is at the shelter safe. Here, we provide a heat map in order to see this precise information, to see if everyone is at the shelter when it's supposed to be. So we can see the dense areas in red, and we can see if everyone is there. Otherwise, we can check if the workers that are not in that specific areas have the proper trainings and certifications to be there. We have another widget for alerts management. As I said, the devices that the worker they have a panic button. Anytime that a worker is in an emergency situation or has any incident, he presses the panic button and this widget will turn red. Also, it is going to emit some loudly sound to alert the operators know that something has happened, and then they will be able to manage the alerts. We also have some other alerts like certificates, which it is possible in case, for example, we detect a worker in a specific area and that worker has expired certificates or doesn't have the proper certificates and trainings to be there, then we trigger an alarm as well. Here we have another project which is similar, but we also monitor vehicles. We also have here another alert for the weather station in case the alarm goes high or goes over a certain threshold. And we also implement some additional feature, which is the geofencing alert. The geofencing is when we have a worker in a specific area and he's not authorized to be there for any other reason. So we trigger an alarm as well. Once we click in some details, because sometimes we need to go into details, then if we click in a specific box, then we can navigate to the detail view, and then we can have like a group management, so we can have our own team group already in a section, so it is easy to geolocate them, to see them on the map, and to see if they are where they're supposed to be. We have also the capability to filter those workers by different attributes, so in case we are looking for a specific worker, we can do it here in this view. And I think that now, before giving the word to Camilo, I think that it's better if we see, because it's self-explanatory, if we see a short video, it's going to last 30 seconds. And I think that everything that I explained before, it is going to be visible here in this video. Here we have the video wall. This is the safety operator room. Here there is a safety operator. And in the control room, we have a video wall, which we have the cameras that I mentioned before, and also we have a platform. Here in the platform, now we are going to see how they operate in a real scenario, in a real environment. Now we see that this widget has turned red. And now I don't know if it's possible to hear it, but it is making a loudly sound in order to alert the operator in case he is looking somewhere else. Now he's managing the alert, so he's first locating the worker and then seeing that the worker information, in which the details information about the supervisor phone number, about the management phone number, they will be presented in the screen in order to let the safety operator manage the alert. And now, Camilo, I give you the word. I hope you enjoy the presentation and everything is clear enough and I could explain myself. Thank you.
Right, well, first of all, Saul, thank you very much for that amazing presentation and walkthrough you just gave us. It's the use cases you've mentioned, the services and products you offer, nothing but the most professional or some of the most professional that we've seen. So thank you very much for that. So in this part of the webinar, what I'm going to be presenting now is LORIOT, which is the network management system, obviously, that WILOC has been using for some years now. And the structure of it will be a bit of a presentation of the background of the company, presenting the different business models that we offer nowadays for scalability, and we will end up as well talking a bit about how we've adapted our LNS to be hybrid since 2022. So yeah, LORIOT is a company that was founded back in December 2015, which is when the LoRaWAN, when the LoRa Alliance was created. So we were one of the first members of the alliance as well. We're a Swiss company, but we've got offices in Valencia in Spain, which is where I'm located at, and then Budapest, which is where we've got our support team. In 2022, as I was just mentioning, was quite a big year for us, let's say, because we adapted the system to be hybrid for mioty as well, not only LoRaWAN. So I'll go into a bit more depth about that in a bit. And yeah, we operate at a global level. We operate in more than 150 countries, and yeah, regarding some of the background of the company as well, quality-wise, we're ISO certified with ISO 9001 and 27001. We're very, very focused on security as well. That's why we managed to work with really, really big companies such as WILOC. We've got major releases that exceed third-party security assessment, penetration tests. We do them every year. And regarding the liability as well, we offer clients up to 5 million euros in just any kind of cyber attack liability, which we've not really found ourselves in that situation yet, but we like to have that point really covered as well. So what we do here at LORIOT, and basically our main role when it comes to the LoRaWAN technology, this grade LP1, is that we're purely focused on what we provide is mainly the network management system. The main reason we decided to focus specifically on this niche is because we realized that in order to develop a robust and really, really professional LNS, it's better to just have a company purely and a team, let's say, purely dedicated to it. However, we've got a really, really big ecosystem of partners from like the other components. So we work with some of the major gateway manufacturers, sensors as well, with some of the platform developers. And the main reason we do that is because we like to help other companies as well establish their end-to-end solution, and yeah, that's one of our strengths, let's say, here at LORIOT. But as I was saying, we're purely dedicated to the LNS, and that's what's made us one of the leading providers in the market nowadays. So when it comes to the business models, and this is where I'm going to be speaking a bit about the scalability that we offer at LORIOT, is with the different business models that we're offering nowadays. So first, we've got what's called the community public servers. So these servers, they're an option that we've got all over the world. We've got some in the United States, in North America, some in LATAM, Europe, Africa, all the way going down to Australia through Asia as well. And they're completely free. You can join them through basically just, you can open up an account through a web page, and you can connect up to 30 devices, and you've got one user. However, it's a magnificent way of actually testing the solution, testing a really small deployment at first, so really, really useful for POCs. So we try to offer our clients that possibility before them having to commit economically to any of our plans. Whenever you've already tried the solution, you see that it works, you see that there's good connectivity, low latency, that your network is running fine, then we jump to what's called our professional public servers. So our professional public servers, they're on cloud solutions. However, the main difference is, let's say, with the community public servers, is that there, well, you've got an SLA guaranteed, and then a 99.9% SLA guaranteed, let's say. And then what's really, really good as well is the multi-tenancy part, because you cannot, so it's not only limited to one user anymore, but you can actually invite other users to the server, which is very useful for at a corporate level to invite, let's say, at a company like WILOC, other engineers that need to connect to the LNS and so on. And yeah, well, we've got them in 4 different plans, but we're going to release new plans soon as well. We got basically just based on the number of devices that you're going to connect, so that you can scale up your project gradually. And the good thing about these as well is that there's when it comes to changing plans, basically upgrading, let's say, there's no type of downtime. So it was just a matter of us increasing the device limit for you, and that's it. That's very, very useful. And then obviously when you're gonna jump over a specific number of devices, we then recommend to jump to what's basically the core part of our business, which is the global enterprise private servers. So our global enterprise private servers, they're private instances that we offer to the clients. In this case, we offer SaaS, so to be installed and hosted by LORIOT. However, we also provide the possibility of installing on-premise. And yeah, the good thing about these is that you can control and have your own private network. You've got the highest level of multi-tenancy as well. So that means that you can not only invite other users within your organization, but you can actually create organizations. So it's a magnificent way as well that some companies use to resell connectivity. And yeah, it's basically just a great way of trying to establish your own private network, which is very, very useful for sites where there's really low connectivity, really low internet connectivity, sorry, let's say. And yeah, I mean, with this type of servers, let's say that the possibilities are almost limitless. I mean, we've handled some deployments of 150, 200,000 devices. And yeah, we've touched many different verticals, let's say, just like the ones Saul was mentioning. And yeah, when it comes to these private servers, obviously when the SLA that we offer is for SaaS, but for on-premise as well, we try to give the client the possibility of, because obviously there's many companies, let's say really big corporations, or there's even some countries that due to the regulations, they need it on-premise. So here at LORIOT, we always try to adapt to basically whatever needs the client might potentially have. And yeah, with these type of servers, the good thing is that you've got exclusive. So when it comes to full control, you've got exclusive installation and hosting. You can manage completely the server utilization. It's a really flexible server deployment as well, as we offer hosted by LORIOT, self-hosted, as it's been just mentioned. Localized hosting is available. You get a centralized management platform, which basically what this offers is the full control part. So just maximum control and efficiency. You get full network overview of all the components. And yeah, as I was saying, when it comes to the multi-tenancy point, you get server operator access. So this means that obviously that is it's got part, let's say, involved with the top tier server permissions. You can monitor every API call, user login, hardware connection, radio metadata, and basically just much more. As Saul was saying, we're a bit limited in time. If not, I'd be more than glad to give you a bit of a walk through the UI and all of the characteristics that LORIOT's LNS can provide. And when it comes to the privacy of the data as well, you get maximum independence. So independence from third-party network operators, no network operator limits or restrictions. And obviously with the network ownership part as well, you can fulfill all of the data responsibilities. You can achieve like full control of the network infrastructure, leverage the network, yeah, when basically with the information security, you get secure data pathing, routing via trusted network server, well, basically the network server, which is here. And yeah, that's just a bit of a summary of our enterprise private servers, which is I was saying at the start, this is the core part of our business. And the good thing about these servers as well is that we offer different, let's say, tools with it, different potential services as well. For example, we offer our clients the possibility of having a log analyzer, which is a magnificent tool that you can integrate to your LNS to monitor and visualize the dashboards, all of the event logs. We offer the possibility as well of installing a test server before actually installing one of these private servers, but that is completely private as well, so that you can test any new update. And it's a really, really good tool, especially when you're going to install on premise. We're very, very focused on the custom binaries as well. I mean, obviously we support Semtex Basic Station, but we here at LORIOT, we developed our own binary as well, which is compatible with most of the gateways and devices out there in the market. So just to summarize a bit, the scalability part and all of the business models that we're actually handling and managing nowadays is that with LORIOT, you get the possibility of actually trying the solution, let's say, completely for free at home with maybe a couple of devices, one gateway, and obviously your application server, to actually establishing, because we've worked in these kind of projects as well, a nationwide LoRaWAN deployment in a country. So that is one of our strengths, let's say, the scalability that we've managed to offer throughout the years. And yeah, as I was saying at the start of this webinar as well, back in 2022, we adapted our servers, our LNS, to this, not only to handle LoRaWAN, but to handle as well to work with this new protocol, with this new LP1 called mioty. So what we try to do with this is we try to guarantee higher flexibility to basically our existing customers and give them the possibility as well to pick the technology that is the best fit for their use cases in a specific environment with specific conditions. We'll go a bit more into some of the main characteristics of this LP1 and mioty in a minute. But well, that is what we try to do. We try to provide a secure solution so that you can easily operate and scale massive IoT networks. We've basically just placed a lot of focus and innovation, and that's why we decided to go into this new technology as well and develop this hybrid system, so that any client that is actually already that has got a private server, well, now even with the community servers, there's one nowadays, the one in Madrid called EU3, where you can now try mioty as well, so that you can manage both networks in a parallel way. And yeah, it's just the combination of these two LP1s it's just basically in our motto, it's our mission to enable large scale of Internet of Things across the planet and help tackle just any kind of challenge that any company might have. So basically, some of the main characteristics of this new technology called mioty, which was developed back in 2022 by the Fraunhofer Institute, and an alliance was created as well called the mioty Alliance. Obviously, is that basically this new technology, it's got a very, very strong interference resilience. As the way it works is it's through telegram splitting, which basically it mitigates interference quite a lot, and it ensures as well that the lowest packet error rate is guaranteed. And then it works as well with the forward error connection algorithm. That what this does is that it makes it possible to information that could be potentially lost to reconstruct it starting from just 50% of the radio bursts. So this protocol mioty, it's really, really useful for really dense environments, and the scalability with it, it's just it's amazing. I mean, it offers a really, really high capacity for really dense networks, as I was just mentioning. There's up to 1 million devices, and uplinks and there's an uplink capacity of 1.5 million messages per day using just a single base station, which the base station is what in LoRaWAN is the gateway. So it's, as I was saying, for scaling up any kind of IoT solution, it's really, really, really useful. Very, very similar to LoRaWAN. It's another point that is very similar to LoRaWAN is that the power consumption is extremely low, with up to 20 years of basically battery consumption, and just like simple AA batteries. And yeah, it's really, really good it's got really extensive coverage. So 1.5 kilometers in urban environments and up to 20 kilometers in rural areas. And it's not a competitive technology to LoRaWAN. It's a complementary one, because basically both are magnificent LP1s, so I was mentioning, but for really dense environments, for really dense data environments like smart waste management, smart metering, that's where it's got a really, really high influence, let's say, predictive maintenance, smart parking, smart farming, and smart building, especially in smart cities where there's a lot of traffic of data, a lot of base stations. It's really, 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 it's a really handy technology for this. So this being said, I'd like to thank everyone who's managed to join us today for today's webinar. Thank you very much again, Saul. And I'll give the word now back to Dario for the Q&A.
Thank you, Camilo, and thank you, Saul. I ask you to join me back here on stage for the Q&A question. As you know, or if you don't know, of course, you are entitled to ask question. We have a Q&A session or the chat. You are free to use both. So if you have a question about this interesting presentation, I found it extremely interesting. And as usual, I start with some questions. My first question is directed to Saul. I really like the idea of the buses, no? The biggest IoT sensors ever, no? A bus as an IoT sensor, it's a very interesting means. And I also liked the fact when you show your dashboard that actually the solution are very tailor-made on the client's needs. And this is very important because even if they belongs to the same industry, each case can be different. So my question is, how does it take? There is like an assessment phase at the beginning. So if in our audience there is someone from the industry that is willing to start the digital transformation in their plans or their mining site. So what is the process from getting in touch with you guys and having the solution already, let's say, installed and working and operative?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Well, first, thank you, Camilo, for your amazing presentation. It's been really useful and it's been really interesting. Thank you all for being here, and Dario with you to you as well for the question. As you said, we haven't found two projects exactly the same. So there is always some features that we have to customize, and there is features that we have to tailor-make, as you said. So we have that capability. So we have the team to develop, and actually that's the powerful services that WILOC provides. We, in some cases, in some projects, we deploy or we do a consultant services. So we go with the client, analyze exactly the necessities and what is the problem, what is the issue, and then we provide the best engineering design. We design the solution and we provide that engineering as well. And then we adapt the solution, the platform, and not just the software, but also the hardware. So because in some cases, as I said at the beginning, we do not manufacture hardware, but what we do in many projects is we customize the firmware of the devices. So from a commercial device, we grab it and then we modify the firmware according to the project requirements. And that's one of the powerful services that WILOC provides as well.
Thank you. Thank you. I think it's very clear. And I, let's say, suggest anyone that is interested in this kind of solution to get in touch with Saul and WILOC, or of course, you can get in touch with us. We would be happy to make an introduction. And another question that I wanted to ask this time is for Camillo. Regarding this, let's say, massive deployment, massive IoT. We have seen in one of Saul slides that they need somehow to adapt, in some case, LoRaWAN to the massive deployments that they are deploying. Sorry for the repetition. So they have, for example, to reduce to the essential the payload, no? Or they have to take care that there is not too many messages on the air at the same time to avoid collision and so on. Mm-hmm. But as I understood, mioty somehow mitigate these issues and concerns, so it allows a little bit more, say, scalability and massive deployments. So my question is, if one customer has already a LoRaWAN deployment with gateways and sensors, how does it do to, let's say, move or integrate also IoT? Is a painful process, or is something, let's say, easy?
Yeah, no, not at all. Basically with the private network service that we offer at LORIOT, you can. It's just let's say that you manage it in the same way as if you were sort of like dividing it into different carpets within your into different folders. Sorry, within your UI. So it's it's basically just connecting all of the hardware and pushing all of the information to the application server. It's a really similar process to LoRaWAN, and you can basically LORIOT LNS gives you the possibility of dividing this, but managing it at a parallel way at the same time. So it's let's say a process that it's really similar to establishing a LoRaWAN network, and that's really straightforward, let's say.
Okay, thank you. So it's basically transparent for the application. Now the data are basically pushed to the application server, regardless if they're coming from IoT or LoRaWAN device.
Exactly.
Thank you. And one other comment I wanted to do, because you, Camillo, went through a very, let's say, deep presentation about the benefit of having a private network, a private network management system. And I wanted to add one point that is, I think it's crucial, because which is data ownership. Of course, having a private server, the data belongs to you. It doesn't transit through third parties in this case, and I think this is very crucial, especially now that AI is coming in the IoT sector, and this data can be leveraged in many other ways. I don't know if there are comments from our audience. First of all, thank you for staying. I mean, everybody is with us since the beginning. That means that the presentation was really interesting. And one thing is, of course, if someone arrived late and missed part of the presentation, this webinar, as the previous one, will be available soon on our YouTube channel or YouTube channel. So don't miss to sign up and our YouTube channel to stay updated also for future webinars. And what else? If there are no questions, but as usual, I go through our IoT Spark event in September in Valencia. This is going to be an in-person event, but also available online. So in the meantime, of course, you are free to write your question to our guest. And yeah, we are focusing 4 main verticals during the event. One is sustainability, smart cities and utilities, industrial IoT, as for example the topic of today's webinar, and logistics, that are interesting challenges as well to outcome through IoT. We already have very interesting agenda with top level speakers. You can see some of them in this slide, and we are currently running a flash sale for our ticket, 50% discount. But for you that stayed with us today in the webinar, I'm leaving in the chat a link to get a free ticket if you would like to join us in Valencia on the 19th of September. I have nothing else to add. Only thank you to our audience, thank you to our speakers, thank you Camilo, thank you Saul, and of course thank you to every one of you, and to our to the people that will watch this webinar in the future. We have also thank you from our audience that I'm very happy to extend to our speakers. Have a great day.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Dario. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good day. Thank you very much.